By the way, can somebody please clip you looking into the camera saying they haven't reprinted the reserve list, they won't reprint the reserve list, with Darth Vader's glowing head of Wizards of the Coast, evil, just right behind you, looming, saying, "Oh." Are you ready?
I don't know, man. This is gonna be either the best or worst podcast we've ever done.
Based on the t-shirt I'm wearing, we're going to start this podcast in 2 weeks. Next time on MTZBWY. Welcome back to the most interesting Magic the Gathering podcast on the entire internet. MTZBWY. You guys know me. My name is Josh, and I am joined by the best Magic the Gathering content creator on the entire World Wide Web,
Wow.
Louis.
Wow, that was so nice of you. When are you going to start making Dragon Ball Z content?
When is never.
A lot of people like that game, that super game. They rebooted though, right in the middle of growing their player base, and so half of the people are like, "I hate Dragon Ball Z. I will never play another." It's like the Star Wars factor. There's a new Star Wars TCG.
I played Scorzy. I played Scorzy, not the
Scorzy?
Super.
Oh, Dragon Ball.
Let them know. Comment section. Let them know. Dragon Ball Z card game made by the company Score. It was like the original Dragon Ball Z card game.
Huh. Hey, what is up, everyone? Sorry, I just got distracted by talking to my friend Josh. I forgot we were doing the podcast.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Thank you so much for all the views last week. Our views were way up. I don't know.
I wonder why.
It's because Taylor Swift was in the title, and everybody, all they care about is Taylor Swift right now. I tweeted out today that the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce breakup song in 2025 will be the #1 streamed song of all time.
I responded to your tweet.
I didn't see that. I don't follow on Twitter. Do you agree? Do you agree or disagree?
Did you not read my response?
No.
Oh,
I don't ever get on Twitter.
Nothing
had the means less to me than X.
No, we're going to talk about something on this podcast that means less than X.
All right, while you're pulling that up, here's what we're talking about today, everyone. We're talking about who spoiled who. We're going to answer the question, is the professor a hypocrite? We're actually not, but we are going to talk about Doctor Who spoiler season and about some things with Doctor Who. We're going to talk about wallet fatigue. We have a lot of products coming out at the same time. We're in the same 4 weeks, and we're going to discuss that, what we think it's going to do to the market. Josh and I are going to tell you our massive opportunities. That sounds like we're going to sell you something, but in reality, we're just telling you what we're buying right now because there's not a whole lot else to talk about. We're going to talk about Pokemon's Ultra Premium Collection. We're going to give some hot takes on that. We're going to dunk on sorcery or talk about those who are dunking on sorcery. And we're going to talk about Lorcana's delay. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Don't slow roll the final topic, bro.
Sorry. Josh's favorite topic, the thing he wanted to talk about most, MetaZoo at New York City Comic Con. They're going to have the digital game ready to play. So we talked about that in the past, and we'll bring it up now.
I want you to know, you in the comment section saying we never talk about MetaZoo. I see you. You have been heard. And as a content creator for the people, by the people, I'm here for you. I chose this topic.
I actually have some people reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, Louis, I love that you guys just talk about all the games, all the games that matter. You guys just discuss all the time." So,
which is cool because that means if we don't discuss you, you don't matter.
So, all right. Do you have your tweet ready? Are we still looking for that?
Oh, I thought we were past that.
No, okay, I'm past it. I don't care. I was just being respectful as your friend. So, all right.
No, it was a great reply, and you don't get it. I'll just delete it. It's fine.
Shout out to the professor for finally getting Magic to recognize his content. The professor's getting a spoiler video, so that is awesome. Yes. If
there's ever been an about damn time on the internet, this has got to be it, right? How many cards have we had with Professor in the title where it's been they're non-consequential, just give it to them, just do it?
Well, so he had spoilers in the past. He said this in the video, but he had spoilers in the past, and then they stopped. That's the dumbest thing ever. Listen, the content creators drive the entire ecosystem of Magic. You know how many people come into the store and buy not dragon shields. What's the stupid sleeves he likes? Katanas. They're like, the professor did a video on katanas today, and they look really good, so I want to pick some up. Like, people watch all that stuff. I'm like, oh man, I hate katanas. They suck.
West Virginia katana sales spike with the release of the TCC vid, dude. Put it on the statue. You know what? That's the data I need to be tracking. Is all about the West Virginia in relationship to Tulare Community College content sales ratio.
People call our store when they walk in. They call our store the sleeve capital of West Virginia because we have like 40 different. I almost said flavors. We have 40 different flavors of dragon shields. And then we just have a lot of sleeves. So
we've all eaten a sleeve at some point. It's fine. It's fine.
All right. So Doctor Who spoiler season started, and apparently on Friday you'll be able to watch Tulare Community College's spoiler video of an entire commander deck. So congrats to him. Click on our video and then click on his video, and then click on our video and then click on his video, and then just keep going back and forth to help out that algorithm.
I might even do a video where I watch his video, so you can watch me watch his video and then click on this video. It would be crazy.
On Josh's channel, maybe watch some Dragon Ball Z on YouTube and then click on it. But anyway, so that's coming out. So I'm sure we'll get a bunch of spoilers on Friday with those things. But thus far, the commander decks are pretty crazy. I want to start off.
No, you're going too fast.
Okay.
We gotta start here. How ridiculous is it that when they finally bring him back into the fold, it's with Universes Beyond? I know that he's a big doctor. Yes, but he's also equally as
but he's
not a big
that whole thing. That's what his whole video was.
He didn't backtrack it. He said what I really said was, but
it was essentially it was a warning that he's about. At least he has the decency to be like, "Hey guys, I'm about to change my attitude on." And here's why you shouldn't be mad at me for that.
You don't think that somewhere in that building, someone was like, you know what would be funny? That conversation 100% happened. Someone's like, if we're gonna bring him back in, let's just a little chip.
I think the only thing that could be more funny is if they gave Rudy one, because Rudy would be like, what do I do with these cards? Like, what do you want me to say on a spoiler video for Commander deck?
You would do a box opening video. Like, what do you mean? Rudy knows exactly what to do.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. The first thing I want to talk about with the Universes Beyond with this product is the Pain Lands from I think they're called Pain Lands, right? That's what they're called.
The Horizon Lands,
or is that what they're called? Horizon Lands? Are those different things?
The Horizon Lands are the ones that draw. You can sack to draw.
Oh,
okay. Came in the first model. Pain Lands are like your Adhikar Waste, Sulphurous Springs, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. I always called these Pain Lands because I got my dual land collection. I started that with Modern Horizons when I opened up 1 billion boxes of that. So these are my Pain Lands, and nobody can tell me otherwise, other than you, commenter.
Listen, live your truth, King.
Everyone was a little upset about this, but it's always amazing to me how the community, no matter what, gets upset. Do you remember the Sliver deck? And they were like, you didn't print any non-tapped shock lands or dual lands. Everything comes in tapped. What are we supposed to do with this deck? And now they give you what you asked for, and like everyone's complaining that they're tanking the value of the cards. What are your thoughts?
I mean, like my initial reaction is, I'm all for a good Magic complaint session, but this one doesn't make sense to me. These things came out, it was 2019, right?
No,
I was in the middle. Modern Horizons
1 is 20. Yeah. It's like 20. It's not 2019.
Nope, 2019. At least according to mtgfandom.com/wiki.
Yeah, I'm just wrong.
Yeah. But still, like, it's been 4 years. They don't hold a they're not free, but they're also not. Right? They're not like wildly expensive. If you invested millions of dollars in Horizons lands and that gets blown up, listen, I guess I'm sorry for you here, but I don't get the complaint on this one, and I'm down. You know my mood today. I'm down to complain.
You're ready to go today,
dude. I am down to complain, and this one I don't get. I don't get it.
So I think the other side of this is that the supply of this whole product line seems pretty limited to me. Which what?
oh, like the collector box being limited is just my call, and it's so good.
Yeah,
It's such a good
dude, like
call.
I'm getting allocated like crazy. And I've been buying Magic. It's not like I haven't been taking product and buying stuff. Like
That's true. You have. That's
I've
true.
been upping my usual asks. If I get allocated this hard on Lord of the Rings, I'm gonna be pissed because I basically like doubled up what I was asking for. But like the supply of this stuff seems pretty limited. It doesn't seem like they are printing this to like oblivion like they've done in the past. It feels like, I'm gonna say it again, like it feels like that first wave of Warhammer decks in terms of like
Great
the
take.
supply of the decks. Collector boxes though feels like Aftermath. Like that's how limited it feels. Which is like nobody wanted Aftermath, so it didn't matter. But like I got cut like crazy on Aftermath collector boxes. Remember that?
Yeah, it's a weird correlation to make because everyone who doesn't own a game store probably won't make the connection that
Yeah.
was actually a hard to get set.
Yeah,
Because like from my perspective, we didn't want it anyway, so we didn't.
I remember like taking a massive deep breath after I got my allocations and being like, "It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. I didn't get any boxes. It's only $2,000. It's okay."
I remember that I flew out to West Virginia and I held you. It's okay.
But like the initial supply, and who knows what happens after the initial supply, right? But the initial supply seems pretty limited. So I'm not terribly worried about this being like a complete tank of the price of like Sunbaked Cannon and these whatever you call them draw lands. Frankly, like Horizon lands. Frankly, like what typically happens with this stuff is you see an initial shock down and then a rebound kind of back up. We saw this with a lot of the Commander Masters cards, right?
Right.
We see a rebound up and then it slowly drips over time based on the supply. So if you have your cards, maybe wait a couple weeks and to sell them if you're like worried about the prices tanking. But I don't see this as like a reprint equity tank in my mind.
How many of you are selling how many Horizon lands to like make this matter? Like,
I don't know, man.
This is beyond.
It's
beyond
also like
me.
not
I know
the,
it's.
it's also like if you look at MH1, it's not really like the value of MH1. You know what I mean?
No.
Like
No.
it's just not the, I don't know. MH1 they've reprinted like every card in the set to complete. Like you should be complaining about Urza. You should be complaining about Renin. I guess Renin 6 hasn't gotten that many reprints, but
Renin 6 got the one, and the textured foil is surprisingly cheap. I remember I thought about picking up a play set the other day because I was like, this is much cheaper than I thought it was going to be. So Renin 6 has come down a bit, but listen, it's a highly playable card. Like they need to hold value. They might not need to hold that much value. Like there's probably a safe middle ground, but I think I do want to do something. I want to temper everyone's expectations here because we talked about how highly limited this product is. When it comes to universes beyond things, recently, Warhammer, Lord of the Rings, now Doctor Who, I think it's safe to say, my opinion is, I have no inside information, I'm just an idiot in his own basement, I think Wizards will reprint the Commander decks like crazy. I think if you are going into this saying, my game store's allocated, Kitchen Table TCG, Min-Max is allocated, everybody's allocated, these are going to be collectible, I think you're going to get burned. The collector box is one thing because of the serialized cards that we've always discussed, but the Commander decks are going to get printed like crazy.
Let's go back to the collector boxes in a second because I do have a hot take on that, but I want to agree with you on that. Like the initial wave of this, it'll feel like Lord of the Rings, right? Where it sells out everywhere, and then like 3 weeks later, you can get them, and then they say, "Hey, we have more product, but we're waiting for or Commander Masters to sell," and then we're gonna give it,
which is why we're still waiting, by the way.
Yeah, because it's not selling. I would say though, I think that looking in my perspective, I think that the universe, this is gonna be everyone's gonna hate this take. The Universes Beyond releases every year, or I guess twice a year that they're doing, are in my opinion what I view as the yearly Commander decks, what they were. So like we used to have one set like Commander 2019 and like everybody would buy a full set and they would sit on them, they would invest in them, they would collect them, like that was a thing. And then they started doing Commander decks in every single set, like I could see if they don't do like 15 of these a year, spoiler alert, they're going to do 15 of these a year. But if they don't, these could end up being like the thing that you collect every year, and that would be kind of cool. I don't know, that would be kind of a cool thing, but I tend to believe that we're going to get like more Universes Beyond releases than regular Magic releases in 2 years.
So I'm whatever the last thing you just said. I'm not touching with a
You're not touching that? Really?
Like, you got me on this podcast. I'm in a mood. I love you, dude. We're not touching it. I'm not doing it. You know what I will do, though, however, is kind of piggyback on this is our Commander deck release of the year. Do you know what I'm seeing? And this is like, I love being on your channel once a week so I can try out takes before I take them to mine.
Love it.
This is fantastic.
That's what I do on my channel too.
I know. I watch the content. I think we're finally seeing Wizards of the Coast realize that we have to find a way not to just blatantly stuff Commander into everything. The Commander subsets in standard release. Every release is for Commander, but we're seeing with Universes Beyond the initial success with Warhammer, and now as we slowly transition away from Commander subsets, like Ixalan, we got the special guests, we got the Jurassic World, and then we have the standard cards, right? We're seeing Commander products be.
Ixalan also has a Commander.
Does it have a Commander subset still?
Yeah. Well, it has. I don't know about. It has 4 Commander decks.
No. I know they have Commander decks. I'm talking about like the whole subset of cards that also come in the standard product. So I haven't heard much about that, but it seems like they're acknowledging we can make Commander releases and then try to juice the rest of Magic the Gathering by making those releases have more of a purpose towards that format. So when you look at something like a Double Masters, what did Double Masters really boost? Well, it boosted Commander. Right. In the future, I expect there to be a major Commander Master style release and a Double Master that maybe doesn't have to carry the weight of the Commander community on it. Your standard sets no longer have to carry that weight, and they do it in a way that's like the special guest, the Enchanting Tales, the schematic artifacts, that's a bit more interesting.
Yeah, and if they can create a standard environment that people actually want to play, then that just doubles
that's
up.
That's a tough one, yeah.
Well, that just doubles that win, right? Like if you can have, the ideal world for Magic, in my opinion, is having a standard environment that people want to play and want to play one-on-one Magic again, and also have Commander that the community format that everybody plays. Like I think that would be an ideal. Just takes time to get there. Maybe I agree. Maybe
this is a precursor to that. We're seeing them take a lot of steps. In my opinion, if they were to specialize the sets and kind of start pulling Commander out of some of the stuff, it would make those communities feel more heard when the set is for them. It will definitely change the sales success of those sets initially.
Maybe that doesn't matter if they have a wider breadth of sets, though, which is kind of what they're doing. I don't know.
But it will also engage those pockets of communities and hopefully help them to grow to where over time those sales are recouped by those communities.
Yeah, I tend to think like that's rose-colored glasses, but
for sure. I'm saying, ideally.
I agree that it'd be interesting. So, all right, there's 2 other cards I want to talk about. I know you didn't you don't love Commander, so it doesn't matter to you that much, but Everybody Lives. I think that's a hot card. I think it's like an almost Teferi's, almost a Teferi's protection. All creatures gain hexproof and indestructible to end of turn. Players gain hexproof till end of turn. Players can't lose life this turn, and players can't lose or win the game this turn. Listen, it's like an almost Teferi's protection, so that's a card that's on my radar of like, I don't know, I'm not going to sell those cheap. I don't know, just a thought, throwing out some stuff. And Nano Gene Conversion, another card that I think is pretty cool. Choose target creature you control. Each other creature becomes a copy of that creature until the end of turn, except for it isn't legendary. Can you imagine? You have like a 4th state of Dragons. Just like, you just have 15 of them. You just have 15 Dragons. And everybody else has like 1, 2, 3. I don't know. It's cool. The Teferi's protection cards just seem so unfun. When you said that to me, I'm like, this card just seems like no fun. Yeah, well, Teferi's protection is pretty unfun too. It's just like
that's what I said.
It's completely game breaking.
That's what you said. It's just another Teferi's protection. I go, that's also unfun. Like I don't know, man. And like, listen, if you like playing those cards, I am not dunking on you. It's just like,
well, It doesn't matter if you like it or not. Everybody who runs a white colored commander deck plays Teferi's Protection. So.
Yeah. Fair enough. I don't know. It goes back to my same gripe that I have with Commander. Hi, Louie. We're sitting down. We're playing. I'm not trying to win, but then I'm trying to win. But then I'm making sure that we can't lose. But then I'm also trying to win.
I also, though, I want to focus on something else, though. I know you hate Commander.
I don't hate Commander.
This is a card, in my opinion, that they could have just reprinted Teferi's, and nobody's talking about this on the internet. Like, nobody talks about this. Everybody talks about when they reprint stuff, they bash Wizards for reprint equity and blah blah blah. This is a card that they could have just put Teferi's Protection in it, right? It does very similarly, very much similar. It's a very similar card to Teferi's Protection, but instead they create a new card, and Magic does a really good job of this. They created a new card that holds a similar style that you can maybe make this a budget version of Teferi's Protection or something like that, but adds reprint equity to the Magic the Gathering ecosystem. You know, this won't be a $40 card off the gate. In 4 years, this could be a $40 card if they don't reprint it in every single, white commander deck in the future. So they create value with stuff like this, and nobody talks about that.
So, I mean, maybe.
Tell me why I'm wrong.
It's just the comparison to Teferi's Protection it's fine. Like on the surface, it makes sense. It's a vastly different card with wildly different effects, right? Because Teferi's Protection is just you. This is the table, right? Kind of just a stasis bubble for the table. And I don't see this card being nearly as popular or kind of carrying over some of that value, right? Creating that reprint equity, like with a brand new card here, there's trouble with that in two ways. It's just in certain situations, it's a strictly worse version than a card that already exists, and it's also themed around a Universes Beyond set. So reprinting that card, in my opinion, would have to come as a reskin somewhere else. And we've only seen it done in the inverse order. We've already seen an existing Magic the Gathering card renamed to fit whatever Universes Beyond IP exists. Think the Great Henge, right? When it got reprinted in Lord of the Rings, and then it has the Great Henge in small text underneath. To see this reprinted without the Doctor Who IP behind it, you would think it. I mean, the name is pretty generic. It might not have to have a name. Agree with you. But
I will say the name is very popular. I don't know anything about Doctor Who, but when I was looking at this card on Reddit, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, remember that episode when they yelled this? Everybody lives." Like, I guess
that's what I'm saying. Is that name feels generic, but it's not.
But to a non-Magic fan, you could still reprint a card. You could print a card called Everybody Lives, and it's the same thing without the Doctor Who flavor text on the bottom of it. I think you could do that. Maybe a different artwork. I think you could.
You could, and listen, it won't be with a different artwork. It will be with the same artwork, and you'll complain about it. And you'll be right. Yeah, and you'll be right, because it won't have unique art. And you'll be right, too.
I don't know about that.
I'll complain for you, then. I'll do it. You know what I meant.
This art doesn't look like non-Magic to me. I'm actually kind of surprised. Like, some of the cards are pretty, like, I don't love the ones that are just like a human looking, like the 13th Doctor is just a human looking through a magnifying glass, like, or like Rose Tyler looks like a girl from like that 70s show. I don't know, some sort of like.
Really, you don't like that?
I like that 70s show. I don't feel like it's Magic though. Like I don't like. There's some of that stuff, but
it's a Doctor Who Magic product. It has. I like that the commanders are. It's the same reason I like the portrait frame in Commander Masters, because like if the card's going to be the commander, it's going to be out there. I like that being the central theme of the art because it's based around the character on the card. Something I noticed. And I know this is super obvious because Doctor Who is at its core an old TV show. The Doctor Who cards, and I don't know if it's the way they're framed or because I'm just associating with Doctor Who in my mind, but the spoilers I've looked at feel like you're looking at the art on an old television set.
That's
like
cool.
There's a feel to it, and I don't know how to describe it. They didn't change the frame. There's not a big TV box frame around it or anything like that. It's just that's the vibe I get when I look at those cards, and I don't know how they did that or made me feel that emotion, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So last thing about Doctor Who, I feel like that I want to say is collector boxes seem pretty allocated, and I think that one of the math things that I would like to think about on this is there's 6,000 serialized cards. This is way, way, way more allocated in product wise than Lord of the Rings was. Are we going to see a very high pull rate of serialized cards in this?
You didn't
Brothers
prep me,
War? I didn't prep you. No.
so I don't know.
Well, I'm just giving
I
you
don't know. I don't know the math.
Give me an opinion. Like Brothers War, right? How many
I
serialized
don't have
cards?
any of the math.
You know the Brothers War. There's how many
Yes.
serialized cards in Brothers War?
It feels like one a case.
Okay, and how many total serialized are there?
Isn't it? It's 63 or 67.
I think it's 63, and they're 500.
63, and they're 500 of each. So what would that be? 30,000.
Oh, I'm wrong.
31,500.
I'm just wrong.
Okay.
Because there's 13 doctors, right?
Yeah.
And there's 500 of each. That's only 6,000. So
Well,
roughly,
there's
say again.
There's 500 and some change. Like the 13th Doctor has 500 has 113 serialized cards.
If you assume the same pull rate as Brothers War, I have no clue. I'm just speculating on print runs and pull rates. So
great. Banned for Magic. Awesome.
That's kind of, if you assume the same pull rate as Brothers War, you're looking at 1/5 the supply of this product compared to Brothers War. Because there's 1/5 the amount of serialized cards.
And like,
yeah, that's crazy.
That totally makes that's not outrageous to me.
Yeah. I just think it's interesting to think about. So
that's very interesting. I appreciate that. That is, I agree. It's interesting. I'll be excited to see, like, I'll be tracking the sales data, but I'll be excited to see like how many sellers remain after some time for this one. That's the part that interests me, because it does feel like it might be limited. I
think this is going to be a little bit of a sleeper. The only thing
you've done a 180.
Well, so I told you, I ordered.
You said this was going to be a worse product.
So I still hate it. Let me not pull a professor and change my mind. I still hate it. I think that there's a lot of money to be made potentially. So
if this product goes well, you will have hated this, and you will have hated Lord of the Rings. So it's safe to say you should subscribe here to find out what Louis hates. Because listen, there's a dollar to be made.
Let me professor the Lord of the Rings real quick. That's what we're gonna call going back on things.
That's really rude.
He doesn't deserve that, but it will get lots of comments.
Listen, Prof, if you still want to collaborate with me, which I know has been a dream of yours, and you don't want to with this bozo, that's fine.
You said you were gonna. I already had the professor on the channel. I love the professor.
That's true. That's true. You're the goat, dude.
You said you were gonna roast him. You didn't know that I was gonna roast him just to take it from you. Anyway,
I never said that.
Lord of the Rings. I've been shocked to see people in the store. How many people have started playing Commander in my store because of Lord of the Rings?
Really?
Almost every new Magic player comes in from the Lord of the Rings precons.
It's almost like some great content creator that you could go subscribe to right now said Universes Beyond Lord of the Rings is a fantastic way to bring in new Magic the Gathering players.
So, in that regard, I was just wrong. And I said that in my video today. I was wrong about Lord of the Rings. 100%. 100%.
Universes Beyond is so good just to get so many eyes on Magic.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Wall of Fatigue, though, because that's going to be the big issue on a lot of this stuff. So we have in 4 weeks from October 13th to November 17th. So 4 weeks plus 4 days. That's my rough math.
Good job.
We have 3 very large releases. We have Doctor Who on October 13th. We have Lord of the Rings Volume 2 on November 3rd. And we have Lost Caverns of Ixalan on November 17th.
Can I just commend you really quick?
Yeah.
Every time I talk about the second Lord of the Rings release, I never know what to call it. So I get down the special collector, awesome bonus, and then it takes me like 30 seconds to move on. So just calling it Volume 2 was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
The Redux.
That's pretty. Oh, all right. Too fancy. I'm out. You lost me.
So let's start off this way. Let's go this way. Does one of those have to take the hit?
Yeah.
Okay. I agree. Which one of those three do you think takes the hit?
It's Ixalan 100% of the time.
Dang it. I wanted to disagree with you.
It is exactly what happened to Wilds of Eldraine. And I did several videos on this. Hold on, boo boo. Hold on.
There he is. Oh, we didn't even talk about George not being here. George raised like $70,000. It
was a lot of money
for ALS this week. So
yeah,
George is doing better stuff than this podcast.
It's a real big bummer to keep doing this while that guy's out there making a difference. So like, come on back, bud.
Yeah.
We need you.
Yeah, make us feel better.
Yeah. So I said this when it came to Lord of the Rings and Commander Masters, kind of, because I didn't hate Lord of the Rings. I thought it was going to be awesome, and it was
awesome.
Like
it was awesome.
Yeah, and I wasn't a big fan of Commander Masters, but it was expensive. Yeah, listen, enthusiast and engage, man, two great words. Like if you don't like those words, I don't know what you're doing on the internet.
Don't watch Dr. Channel.
But however, before I was rudely derailed by a fellow enthusiast, March of the Machine and Wilds of Eldraine kind of were the buns to that wallet burger that were Lord of the Rings and Commander Masters. They were the sets that came right before and right after. And I said, one of those sets is going to take a hit, being that we're saving up for one, or after the both, we have no money left.
Yeah.
And with Wilds of Eldraine being insanely popular, a great set. And I think the set booster box is a candidate for best Magic the Gathering product for a Magic player of the year. That set booster box is on that list somewhere.
We should add that to the podcast potential topics for end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. You can comment my videos, it's fine, dude. It's whatever. But Wilds of Eldraine did take a hit in sales numbers. It didn't take a hit in popularity. People still love it. People rave about it in every corner of the internet. But it took a hit in sales because, listen, there's only so much money to go around. I think in that vein, it makes sense for Ixalan to be kind of what takes the hit, regardless of how good the set is.
I tend to agree. The only, I guess, what I will I think if something takes a hit, it will certainly be Ixalan. I think that's fair. The only potential disagreement I have with you is that the timeline of this does line up to like a holiday season where everybody's kind of in a spendy mood anyway.
True.
And also like people are buying gifts for people. So even if you as a consumer, even as you as an engaged enthusiast don't have the money because you're buying gifts for other people might be buying gifts for you, and that kind of adds to the ecosystem of the whole world of Magic. Ixalan would certainly be the one that takes a hit if it does. But the other caveat to this on wallet fatigue is we don't have the Commander Masters product, which is stupidly expensive. Not all of these products, in my humble opinion, are very appropriately priced. I mean, like Lord of the Rings collector boxes, I said were overpriced starting off. The market completely disagrees.
Has corrected.
Well, no, they're as high as they were. Like I was just wrong. Like Wizards was, what do you mean? They're $400 right now, collector boxes.
Oh, the first run?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about the new run.
What's wrong with the new run?
I think the new run came out overpriced, and it has since corrected. It's come down to, I think, one far more reasonable price.
I didn't watch those opening prices at all. They're like $350 now, right? I think something like that.
I think they oscillate between $320 and $350.
Yeah, like I tend to think that we will see those collector boxes kind of butt up with the initial one. Does that make sense?
You think they're going to come up to 400?
I don't think they come up to 400. I think that those two they work in parallel.
I think you see a little correction the other way. Yeah. Yeah,
like I would say like the collector boxes, the initial ones might take a little bit of a hit, and these ones will. Listen, the same cards are in them. There's other cards in them. There's people who like some of the variants better. There's still serialized cards. Like this is a good product. Like
you can't get the second copy of the 1-of-1 serialized ring that Wizards of the Coast definitely printed because they're up to no good and nefarious and all that.
Yeah.
Do you remember when that was part of the timeline?
Yeah.
It was the best timeline when everyone just had the wildest takes. I miss that timeline.
I just think like my point is, let me go back to my main point. It's not overpriced like Commander Masters was, where it's like when you want to engage with it, you have to spend a stupid amount of money compared to what, like, the set box for Commander Masters was just way overpriced, right? I don't see that happening in the set. What?
That's why George doesn't come on the podcast the last 2 times. That box is nowhere near $500. Done.
Never will be $500.
No, our lifetime.
Master sets are completely dead.
Hey,
dead. Master sets are worthless.
No, my case of collector boxes.
So I think that the market will absorb a lot of this product pretty well. The thing with like Ixalan, there's like good stuff in that too. So even if even if the boxes don't sell because the consumers are burnt out, like singles I think are a viable option for that set, which I have to hand it to Wizards. Like as a store owner, every set this year, with the exception of Aftermath, every set this year has been viable. Like singles have done well. Like it's been like I haven't taken a bath on singles. Commander Masters was a little bit rough, but there's some market sentiment that went into that, and the price, like the cost basis was so high. But like singles still flew. We still broke even or made money. Like at the end of the day, I don't know. This is gonna be an interesting. It's gonna be an interesting holiday.
I actually think that there's a baseline for success here because we satisfy one of the most important conditions. I think 2023 has proved over and over again that this condition must be satisfied in the Magic the Gathering set, and you must have an entry point that the community as it exists today feels comfortable at. Yeah. So you have to be able to get in on a product at a price that we've been comfortable paying for some time, right? And Commander Masters missed on that, and for the longest time, until we saw enough correction in the downward direction, and where something fit in one of those windows, a $200 collector box, then we were finally like, oh, okay, we're used to this, we're comfortable. Without that, it's very rare that we go all in and really like something. And I think all of these sets here, Lord of the Rings have the scene bundles, which are already vastly successful. They're selling like hotcakes already, and it's super early. The Doctor Who Commander decks have functionally unique cards. They're going to be great. And Ixalan is going to be a standard release product, which I maintain to this day. That's the best way to experience Magic, is the standard products.
Well, and the other thing no one's talking about with Ixalan is that they're pushing standard. Like your stored championship for Magic now has to, must be, is required to be standard. Like they are essentially saying, if you want to have any organized play, like people care about that one. Like our store championship, we do draft or sealed because nobody wants to play standard. But like now, if people want to play, they have to. It's like just the way it is. So like that's another thing. Like I'm not sure that sells boxes, but it probably does something for the singles market. Like it probably does something for that realm.
Right. Like, listen, it'll be a self-balancing system, right? If it either sells boxes enough to where if standard does become not popular is not the right word, but like palatable, right? Where there's enough people to make a community in once a state, finally.
Right.
Then people are either opening boxes for the commander cards, your mana vaults and things like that, or they're opening boxes for standard, and the commander community gets affordable reprints. It's a self-balancing system. Yeah,
I agree. It'll be interesting to watch. The other factor going on with wall fatigue, I still want to bring up student loans. Like that's gonna take money out of the ecosystem. And so I don't anticipate any of this stuff to be like massive free tendies or home runs. Like I think the overall sentiment of collectibles is down as well. And then you add that kind of extra stuff. There's a lot of negativity that could happen with this, but I just think the products are good. Like at the end of the day, the products they're good products. This is a good 3 releases. I don't love Universes Beyond, but like at the end of the day, like the products they're making with it is good. So
you and Prof dude just walking it back. No, I don't love it, but like listen,
it's such a balance. This is where the Prof is too. Like you sent me that video. You were a little more upset about it than you're showing on the podcast.
I was not upset. I thought it was hilarious.
And I
thought it was hilarious.
What, like at the end of the day, you have to just accept that this is, you told me this a long time ago too. It's just taking me now to get there. You have to accept that this is what Magic is.
This is the same thing that happens with my wife. I tell her something in one ear out the other. She
Yeah.
hears it from someone else. It's just best idea. Like,
Yeah, I think
thanks,
that's not just
Prof,
your
for
wife.
finally getting to him. Thanks, Prof. Finally getting to him.
I think that's just spouses in general. I'm sure that's the same way for your wife talking to you too. Nobody wants to admit that their spouse had a better idea than them, and it's like calling them out.
I do. She's smarter than me. I shut up and listen.
My wife is infinitely better than me in almost every way. The
Okay,
only thing I have on her is the ability to sell cards. That's it.
I could reach the top shelf way better than she can.
Yeah. All right. That's anything else you want to say about this stuff?
No, I'm a little upset that you're trying to put me on blast.
I like putting out like I
like
calling you out in public on things.
I never said the things you're saying. I said that this is hilarious, and I said it's the next. I said it's the next step. It's the next. When we talked on the phone, I said it's the next evolution for someone who hated Universes Beyond and now has their face on a playable character in a card game. That to me, just like, listen, Universes Beyond's coming around, huh? Not all bad.
All right, I'll let you win this one because I don't want to reveal our text messages, but that's fine.
If we're doing that, I think I'll win. You've got far more to lose, buddy.
That's fair. All right, massive opportunity. What are you buying, Josh?
Do you remember for a while when we were about to start paying for daycare and I had like the $2,000 on my desk that I could just pull out for the podcast? I wish I had that right now.
Those were the best days.
We have seen content creators, and the reason I wanted to put this kind of in the rundown, we've seen content creators, we've seen social media personalities, forum posts about buy lists stopping. And valuable Magic cards. People aren't buying into valuable Magic cards anymore. People are paying 70 cents, now 60 cents, now 50 cents on the dollar. It's going down, blah, blah, blah. All that says to me is this is one of those times. We could be entering one of those times that we might look back on and be like, remember when Volcanic Island was this cheap? Because, spoiler alert, if Magic is going anywhere, so is every trading card game. So unload it all, get out. I think that there's going to be a chance to pick up some stuff that you're going to be very happy that you own at a very good and favorable price point.
All right, let's talk about buy list prices first. I think that's a good place to start. Because I agree with what you were saying there. Buy list prices have gone down, but people still have buy lists. Like when Rudy makes a video and he's like, this store stock buy list, it comes across as like all stores have dropped buy lists, but like Card Kingdom still has a buy list. I was making a collection
not all stores.
I was making a collection purchase today, and I like went to their buy list to make sure that I was above their buy list because I wanted the collection to go through. And like they still are taking 20 copies of Volcanic Island and different things. Like they are still doing buy lists. So I think like I don't know. It's easy to be like one store dropped it and everybody gets negative because that's what the info is. But like, I don't know. That's
disingenuous. They're slowly stopping. Was my point. Not all stores have cut off all buy lists, but it is a chain effect. When you're in a competitive ecosystem and you see the main winners in that ecosystem start to change the way they do business, there's a tempting chain effect to do business that way as well. I think it takes a lot of courage to buck the trends and go against that.
Yeah, and like frankly, like I have been buying a lot of cards recently. Like,
I'm so jealous. I want to be able to buy list. I just don't own the store.
I've been buying a lot of cards. You guys have seen it on the channel. I got another collection coming probably Friday or Saturday. I'm buying a sealed Magic collection this week too. Like somebody's driving from I think Montana to drop off a sealed Magic collection on Thursday.
That's pretty cool.
I think that I personally think that the market downtick is more connected to a recorrection based on the pandemic of outrageous pandemic prices. And I think it's also based on a overall ecosystem, not Magic, overall environment of the current money in the system. Like if you look at crypto, there's nothing happening. Nobody's making money on crypto. If you look at student loans, again, we'll bring that up. Like, people have to pay money right now in student loans. So if you have a volcanic island sitting on your counter or in your collection that's you're not using, or that you bought and now you need your money, like, that's what you go for. Your wife's like, hey, you got to sell a card. Like, we need money right now. So you sell stuff. Like, there's so many external factors that go into what is Magic the Gathering. I don't think it's fair to look at just the prices and say Magic the Gathering is dying, or everyone's dumping their product because of cards across the board going down. I brought. You have anything to say about that? Was I speaking out of turn?
No. I guess we're talking about two very different things here. I don't think Magic the Gathering is dying. I don't think everything is going to zero. I think we are going to see. We will look back on this period of time and find favorable pricing. That does not mean I think we're cratering and everyone's going to freak out and every store is going to stop their buy list. I do think that this is going to be a significant period where we will see cheaper prices on some very cool Magic the Gathering cards than we will for a long time.
I guess I'm going to disagree with that a little bit. I think that we are still in a correction point. Like, if you look at all the graphs, there are two massive, really three, like 2016 was a massive influx. That's like when Rudy started his channel. A lot of the investment bro Magic stuff started. Frankly, though, a lot of collectibles overall started like picking up in 2016.
It became a viable option, a place to park money.
I've got the Volcanic Island Magic stocks up right now showing this. 2018 was another big window. Frankly, 2018 is when I started getting involved in Magic the Gathering, and maybe that's why things went up. Joking. No, but like the overall, like, I'm just saying, like, that's when I started, and so frankly, that's when maybe a lot of other people started. There's a lot of crazy good sets right there. You have War of Spark was right there. You had Dominaria. You had a lot of popular Magic sets that brought a lot of people into the fold. And then the next uptick is Pandemic, which everything went parabolic. And so I tend to think we will continue to see a retracement to somewhere between the pre-pandemic 2019 prices and the current in the the middle of the pandemic, price line. So I still think we see like a 10 to 15% reduction in a lot of cards, but we are on a horizon of like timeline where things are historically every 2.5 to 3 years, we do see another pretty strong growth pattern. And I do think personally, like, I am buying stuff with the idea of like, I'm not going to sell everything that I buy. I'm going to hold on to stuff. And like, I think there's some potential long-term, but I'm thinking like a 4 to 5 year horizon. You're not going to see short-term gains anytime soon, in my opinion.
Yeah. And well, that could be fair, but I guess let me let you behind the curtain. I wanted to save it for my own video, but I guess the what I'm working with here and the reason that I truly believe this and the reason it's the reason
content.
It is.
Okay.
How many times do you think I could like fake Kamehameha during a video? If you had that on your bingo card, by the way, you just win this week. That's the win space. If you look at Magic the Gathering as zoom out with the focus on Universes Beyond and what Wizards of the Coast is trying to do, I anticipate we see an influx of people engaged in some way with Magic the Gathering.
That's fair.
Somehow, some way. And there's a natural, at least from my own experience and the people that I know, there's a natural progression of, hey, I'm a Magic the Gathering person. I play Magic the Gathering. I get more involved in playing. I start deck building, and then I have a binder, and I start collecting. And then there's a phase, and everyone seems to go through this phase. There's the reserve list phase, or the highly collectible, or you start seeing other people's binders, and you get envious of that. How can I build that for myself? And as we see more and more people joining our community, because I truly believe we're growing, and with Wizards of the Coast making a move towards standard, so actively trying to pull people out at least once a week from behind the computer into person, we see that expedited. And while these cards go down, I think that massive community that all joins around the same era starts to hit that collectability phase at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just a theory. But that's what I'm basing some of this off of, as well as, look, Wizards of the Coast gets credit. They're bringing collectability back to Magic the Gathering. You talked about War of the Spark.
Hit it, baby.
There wasn't too many collectible things. I mean, the hardcores liked their stuff, but like serialized cards are a big deal, right? It injects collectability back to our community. We talked about the
most collectible thing in all of Magic the Gathering.
Are we going to talk about how it took a hit? No, please don't. I already heard. I know.
The most collectible product ever.
But like, listen, also, collectability is coming back in a real way.
The easiest product to make your cost basis 0 on ever in the history of the world. The hype around that was insane.
Oh my god.
All right.
Anyway,
I want to agree with what you said based on another theory that I've spoken on a lot on the channel, which is that every time prices decrease, the amount of people interested increases. So there's layers. So let's use a revised duel, right? Let's use a Volcanic Island, right? There is a number of people who aren't interested in Volcanic Island at all until it hits $100. There's a number of people who aren't interested in Volcanic Island at all unless it hits under $400. And so as the price drops, the volume of people who are interested in picking up a card increases. Like I used to say when I bought my first cards on TCG Player, I said, I will never spend more than 50 cents on a piece of cardboard in my entire life. And I actually pulled it up the other day. I have my first order on TCG Player and it's like every card's 25 cents, 50 cents, 49 cents. And like, that was what I said. And then, you take a little hit of the drug and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'll buy cards that are $2, right? It's not that bad. And like, as you get more engaged in the ecosystem of Magic, you just generally spend more money.
Yeah.
And so as the prices decrease on stuff, the volume of people who are interested increases. And so I think that's one of the like inherent positives of an ecosystem like Magic. I don't know, man. Massive opportunity. I think there's a lot of risk still. A lot of people talk about the potential like reprint stuff. Like there's still a ton of risk. I don't know, man. They haven't done it. They haven't reprinted the reserve list. I don't think they will reprint the reserve list. And if they do reprint the reserve list, like Magic 30, like they've already proven, it'll be such an astronomically high price that it won't matter. That's what I go into this world believing. But I also don't buy cards without any like I take calculated risks when I buy cards. Like I don't overextend myself. I don't like if you're buying anything, you have to be careful because they could just reprint it all and it could all go to zero. So
that's why your 50,000 count box of Horizon Lands is just destroyed right now.
Yeah.
Which by the way, can somebody please clip you looking into the camera saying they haven't reprinted the reserve list, they won't reprint the reserve list with Darth Vader's glowing head of Wizards of the Coast, evil, just right behind you, looming, saying, "Oh, we won't." Oh,
we have been worried about them.
We will until the end of time, until they update a statement on it, saying reassuring us, and that'll last a week. Like the reassurance will last a week.
At the end of the day, these are all speculative investments. So if your livelihood and your entire income in life is based around Magic reserve list cards, you need to sell every single card you have right now and go and like get a real investment portfolio and whatever.
Be right back. I have work to do.
That's just the way it is. Like listen, Magic pumps when crypto pumps. There's not like there's correlations here too. Like
it's a luxury item. It's reserve list Magic is a luxury item. You buy it when you have extra money.
Yeah. So I, for one, am okay with that risk in my life. I really love Magic cards. I love cards, period. I've gotten some crazy banger Pokemon cards recently. I wish they're upstairs right now. Like I've also been like trading and buying some stuff that like I love the prices are dropped right now. Like I've been buying slabs that like I didn't think I'd be able to get ever. And like I've been trading and getting them. So
I got my new one. My latest slab came in. Oh.
Love it. What how far are you on your war collection?
I gotta tell you, I said it to the I said on the channel, I said it to the channel members, I'm not willing to expose that information until I'm over 50%. And then I will do a video saying where I'm at and how much I've spent.
Wow.
But until then, I'm not gonna say.
Wow. You're
It's
such a 1%er.
pay attention to the background. It's growing.
That's
I
awesome.
lost another shark that fell down into the boxes.
You need to get them sequentially graded.
Yeah, you told me about this. You were going to teach me if you send them all in at the same time.
Yeah,
they get graded.
Yeah, and so your numbers go like 6,000. Your number would be like 6,450,006,
Right.
and then in 7.
Yeah,
when you put them on the paper, put them in order that they like their set number, and so then when you put it on your shelf, it'll be sequentially gone. Now what will suck is you won't get all the same grades, and that'll piss you off.
Yeah.
Like you won't get all 9s and all 10s. It'll be like 9, 9, 7, 9, 9, 9, and 8. You know what I mean? Like that.
It's the Brothers War serialized artifacts. There's going to be some 6s in there, my guy. There was not a quality print run of cards.
So anyway, all right, that's good. You want to move on?
Whatever you want, man.
Ultra premium collections, Pokemon.
UPCs.
These are sick. My daughter, I got these in on like my rep sent them to me.
Did your daughter break Street Date?
Oh, my daughter did break Street Date. Yes, it is officially for the store and for me breaking down for singles. My daughter is employed by me.
You heard it here first. You buy Pokemon singles at GameGrove.gg. No. They will have child fingerprint smudges on them.
Oh no, they just end up in her collection. Listen, dude. There's 3. There's the UPC, right?
Yeah.
It's got 16 packs. So you're by far the most packs per product. This is essentially, I see it as like the booster box of 151 because you have 16 packs, and then you have 2 awesome promo cards. It's the Mew that was the hot card in the Japanese set. So like, I don't know, kind of a bummer because like you can't pull it in the boxes. And then what's the other one? Mewtwo, I think. And then it's got a gold-plated Mew card, which is also pretty cool.
It sounds like a cool product. I just can't stop being mad that there's no booster box to open.
Yeah,
I want a booster box so bad. Set. I know they do, and I just hate it. I am boomer. Let me have my emotions.
That's fair. It's cool. It was a lot of fun to open. It also has like a really cool playmat. This is the type of product that I frankly wish like Magic did more of this kind of stuff. Where it's like has different like I really wish Magic would do a Pauper deck series. Like that kind of thing. What? Why are you shaking your head?
You wanted to have a UPC product, which is currently the most expensive Pokemon product out there. You want Magic to copy that and make it a Pauper product?
No, I'm just saying I like the variety of the Pokemon products, and that was one example of another Magic product I think Magic could do. That was just one example. I don't think
haven't we actively advocated for fewer Magic SKUs on this very podcast?
I don't want as many Magic booster boxes of variants of booster boxes, but more products that are like the
half booster boxes.
Well, like cheaper than like this one's I guess a bad example, right? $120 is a booster box price, but like cheaper,
like products, the ETB model,
the ETB stuff. Like I know we have bundles, but they have like a ton of different collections and like that's kind of cool. I don't know. I
disagree.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't think it plays in Magic. I think it plays in Pokemon because the kids are super interested in almost all this extra stuff. But I don't think Magic fans care. I don't think Magic fans want the gold-plated Liliana card.
That's fair. I think though that like the new consumer, there's like only Commander for them. Like I don't know.
Did you hear Standard's coming back, baby?
So they need to do like standard precons, I think. That's what I'm saying.
That's a great take. We've talked about this before. The Challenger decks. Yeah.
Anyway, cool product. If you're a Pokemon fan, you're excited about this for sure. We have blown through these at the store pre-order wise, and we still have some that I held back for like release day on Friday. I don't know. I think this is going to be everyone's kind of like the Charizard UPC tanked and it went to 0, but like the Charizard UPC had a ton of different packs in it. And
this has all 151 packs. It's a different product.
And 151 is so Like it is so much fun to open. It's hard. Like the pull rates are pretty difficult, which I've talked about. Like I really like that in Pokemon when their pull rates are hard. The pull rates are hard, but it's also like you're opening the original cards that are really fun and good. And like, I don't know, it was a really fun experience opening it with my daughter. And I think a lot of people will share in that with their kids, or just adults who like Pokemon. But I expect that Friday we will be completely packed. Like I will be surprised if we don't sell out of these in store on Friday. That's how good they're.
It's a product that reaches out and touches way more people than a regular Pokemon release. Like, and we've talked about this. Like, I draw a lot from my own experience because I don't own a store. I don't have any of that information, so I use public sales data and my own experience. And this is a product that even drew me in, right? And I have some Pokemon boxes here and there. It's something that I've played with from time to time. I would not consider myself a Pokemon fan, and for this to draw my attention this hard just makes me believe I can't be the only one.
Yeah.
Right. It's got to be almost everyone else in my shoes has got to at least give this thing a sniff and be like, this is really interesting. I think a lot of us are broken up by the fact that it doesn't have a booster box. I listen, if this had a booster box, I probably would have done a box opening on the channel, like a box opening live stream, which would have destroyed a small creator like me's algorithm for a week and a half. But I don't even care. It would have
been worth it.
I don't even care. I would have had so much fun, but there's no booster box, and that just hurts my soul.
That's fair. I do think you could open the Ultra Premium Collection. It would be the same.
It's experience. A very expensive box opening. If you want to get through, like, listen, I want to open 30 packs. And to do that, it's very expensive now.
That's fair. That's fair. Speaking of expensive, I just sent you a link in our Discord because we didn't talk about this before. They also announced this trading card game classic. And this thing is, my reps are all like, it doesn't matter how many you pre-order, everyone's going to get 2 to 3 of them. That's how limited it is. It's $400.
Oh, tell me how evil the company is for printing this, dude. I'm ready for it. Listen, I'm ready for it. Tell me how evil they are.
Here's the math. You can get an unlimited set in like LP and maybe MP condition of the original 3 cards, Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise, for $400. Like, I don't understand. I mean, granted, I'm going to order all of them that I can, but I don't understand why they made this so ridiculously expensive. That's it.
Magic 30th Anniversary Edition is not real cards. They are fake Magic the Gathering cards that are selling for comparable numbers to their real equivalents.
Also, these are not standard legal cards. These are not tournament legal cards.
Pokemon Champion whatever edition are fake Pokemon cards that are going to sell for a financial equivalent to their actual card and parent, whatever.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is also doing that $1,000 card. Remember that? Everyone's taking them out.
How do we get on our vote with our wallet high horse and then we buy fake cards from actual card manufacturers? They could just make real cards.
Yeah. Everyone's excited about it, though. I don't know. You put the regular base set Charizard art on something, and everybody goes crazy.
No, I draw the line. I draw the line here. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous behavior. I didn't put up with it in Magic. I won't put up with it in Pokemon. I called Magic 30th Anniversary Edition the most predatory product that I have ever seen. I will not get behind this. They are not real cards.
I agree.
They're not real.
I'm kind of pissed about it, to be honest, because I actually had an idea like maybe 6 months ago that I was going to start a retro or like a vintage Pokemon tournament at our shop like once a month, because like nothing seems cooler to me than like playing with like a base set Blastoise and doing like building the decks from 1999 and like I just think that seems so much fun. And so we actually started building the decks, and then it was stupid. It was like $450 a deck to like actually do it, because like all these cards are so expensive. And so when this got spoiled, I was like, oh my gosh, this would be so cool. If I buy these and they're like $100 for the set, we can actually like sell them as decks of like $30 decks or whatever, and like start this whole, vintage Pokemon scene. And now I'm just like, oh, that's a missed opportunity. Because that's what this is, a missed opportunity. But
yeah. I listen. The old championship chip deck series from Magic, where the decks were like, I think they were like $20 or $30, and they weren't real cards, but it was $20 to like play the world championship deck of that year, the top two. That's the reason. When everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" You say those are good. Yes, because it was $20, right, or $29.99, right? Yeah. It didn't cost you $1,200. It didn't cost you $400. If Magic wanted to get you back into Standard by taking the top 8 decks at Worlds, right, and printing them in $20 gold border, you can buy this and shuffle up with your friends and play Standard. You'd have no qualms for me. I don't know if anyone would buy them. I doubt it, but. You have no fight from me. That would be a fun product, in my opinion. This is predatory.
I think a fun product for Magic would be revisiting the idea of doing like tournament decks from 1997. You know what I mean? Like revisiting those things and printing old Standard box. Like you could have, like, if you want to revitalize Standard, imagine if you have like every year it's like a Standard revisited deck. Like set where it's like 4 decks from Return to what? Like, what's the one you like with Siege Rhino? What's that? Was that? Cons.
You get like, so stuck on Siege Rhino.
It's like four.
You're just like broken on Siege Rhino.
Standard. Like that could be cool, but yeah.
No, right. If you want me to buy something, if you're like, oh, I want to pick at Josh, it's Cenothlav Sivka's Second Breakfast modern deck. It is Pro Tour Return to Ravnica. That deck, I am in love with that deck. I'm literally in love with that deck. And watching professional players watch this guy play this deck and be like, I can't believe this is happening right now. This is incredible. That whole event was just amazing. So you've got
a different language to me.
God, I wish we had George on the podcast so he could make fun of me when I talk about people actually playing card games. I miss George.
All right. There was some people dunking on sorcery this week, and we're going to join the bandwagon.
Wait, what?
We're going to dunk on sorcery. We want to be part of the club.
I've always wanted to be cool.
All right. Should we say where this is coming from?
I have sure.
Shout out to scheming. Shout out to Jordan. I've had pizza with Jordan. Jordan's a good dude.
Wait, I want pizza.
I've sat down and eaten pizza with Jordan. He's a good dude. He does not like sorcery. He made that very clear in a blog post, and love him. But I want to discuss some of the points and kind of just chat about it. This is available at his blog. We'll give people attention. schemingskeleton.com/blog if you're interested in reading this. It's frankly pretty emotional. Like there's a lot of yelling. But I want to address one thing he says, because I really disagree. And he gets into like the China printing. We've talked about that. One of the things that he says is, where was it? What was the line I wanted to talk about? Everything that they have done and continue to do has shown me that they don't care about the players. That's the line. And there's a lot of negativity coming right now from people who are complaining about the beta print runs, which, like, I get. Like, a lot of stores got pretty heavily allocated. Frankly, like, I got very heavily allocated from all my non-Innkeeper sources. Got heavily allocated. But, like, we haven't seen the beta hit the market yet, so I'm not sure it's fair to say that it's not enough to warrant with the demand of the game. Like, I want to start there. What are your thoughts?
So, as somebody who is often critical, like I like to go into things saying, hey, I'm critical, but I also think there's an upside. This is the take on the print runs for sorcery is it's in the same vein as Lorcana to me. And the reason is sorcery has given themselves this year of play, right? This is the set's existence over the course of 12 months or 9 months or what. It's a long release cycle. That's one of their whole things. And because of that, they're kind of insulated from some of this, because if the product does drop, and it's like, oh my God, I can't get my hands on it. You're seeing with Lorcana right now, Lorcana can't catch up. Like, they got to print the next set that's coming. They can't get the printer space to reprint the first set. Sorcerer's got the ability, hey, let's reach back into the pot. Let's reprint this thing. Like, if they need to, they can do it. They're a company that's well financially backed. And I think that's something they would willingly do. So I think it's too early with the set not even out and just murmurs of allocation numbers from game stores to be like, it's underprinted. Let's let it hit the market and let's see. And let's see if that does happen. And I don't like to make trouble that doesn't exist yet. Do they correct it? But saying that they're not about the players based on a game that hasn't had a public release yet, to me, isn't a fair criticism. I often regard Kickstarter as a non-public release. It's not a public release. You can't walk into your game store and get your hands on the product.
It seems a little early to say something like that. So I want to bring up two huge things that say otherwise for Sorcery. Number one is the Kickstarter. In the Kickstarter release, every other game, or the vast majority of other games, you guys remember Nostalgics? I railed Nostalgics 2 years ago because they had a limited released Kickstarter. Their Kickstarter was a limited number Kickstarter. So they only had whatever 1,000, however many it was. I don't know if it was 100,000 or 12,000 or 4,000. They had X thousand boxes available for the Kickstarter, and it got bought out in like 12 seconds because like it doesn't take that many crypto bros to buy out a indie TCG Kickstarter and make free tendies on it. And I said, like, if I kickstart something, I want it to go to the company. I want to support the company for a game that I believe in, not just like free tendy farm for, you know, a TCG. And Sorcery did the opposite, and Cryptic did the same thing, where they had a print run that was equal to plus a certain percentage of the you know, for misplaced orders and stuff like that, of the print run. And like, you can't, in my mind, say something like their only release so far has been, hey, we are printing this to the demand within the confines of the Kickstarter. That seems like a, hey, we're here for this game to be successful, not to be like a cash grab or like an easy money thing or whatever. A lot of people wanted them to limit the number of boxes. And frankly, a lot of people still complain that 29,000 boxes is too many. And you don't hear them being like, hey, we're going to scale back the demand of the game, right? Like they made that decision in their first thing, that they care about the demand being equal. And then the second thing that they do that nobody talks about, their cycle for deck building. So the thing that matters most for the cost of a game for a player is how many cards are you allowed to put in your deck, right? Like that is what the driving force for a player is when you're thinking about the cost of your deck. And they have it set up, in my mind, in a very, very good way for the player. Unique cards, you can only have one of those in your deck. So the Philosopher's Stone, you can't have a playset of 4. You can only have one in your deck. And I know right now Alpha Philosopher's Stones are $500. That's an expensive card for a new TCG. You can't grow a game with a $500 card. I get that. Beta is releasing. We don't know how much a Philosopher's Stone is going to cost. It could be $50, right? Like it could be $75. That seems like a healthy number for the rarest card in a print run of a set. And you can only have one of them in your deck. You don't need to buy 4 of them. For all the uniques, I think that is a huge, and it even scales down. The elites, you can only have 2 of them in your deck. The exceptionals, you can only have 3 of them in your deck. And the ordinaries is a playset of 4. Sure. And that to me screams, we care about the deck building experience being somewhat confined to a price point. And not only that, you can actually utilize those cards in a lot of other decks too, right? Like you can put a Philosopher's Stone in every deck you have. So like you only need one of them to have everything you need for the game. Go ahead.
So I like the point you made, but I think I want to expand on it, because I think you're walking yourself into a weird scenario.
Okay.
Or a familiar, let's call it a familiar scenario. We've seen indie TCGs before where the promise is you only need one of these and you can play it in a multitude of decks. But that card is $250 or $300, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh my God. And then the environment to play that game requires you to have that card. So even though you only need one, it's still, for an indie TCG, it's not a fair ask of a consumer, of a new player, and if without it you can't play. However, Sorcery changes that mold here, in my opinion, a little bit, as they have stated time and time again that they want this to be a game about casual fun play. Like, they want the game interactions to be fun. They want their OP to be about just getting together and playing. They're not necessarily worried about rewarding winners or a giant high prize OP circuit or anything like that. They just want people trying things, having fun, and creating a social environment while playing the game. So that model works as long as you have that second plan involved, where it's not like, hey, one of an expensive card, but you now need it. It's required.
Yeah, and also another thing going towards that casual play discussion is that there's a lot of variance in sorcery, and compare that to a lot of the other indie TCGs that have
actively try to remove variance.
Yeah, and like a lot of the expensive cards are cards that are outside of the deck. They go on your play field, and so like in sorcery, if you don't have a Philosopher's Stone in your deck, I'm sorry, but like it's not as good of a deck, but like I have stones in a lot of the decks that I play, and I can probably count on one or two hands the number of times that it pops up in the game, right? Like I can't rely on it. I can't build a deck around it. Like the same thing with Death Dealer. Like, yeah, it's a stupid strong card, and if I get it, then yeah, it's gonna upset the board state. It's gonna be really good. But at the end of the day, like I can't build an entire deck around it because it's only a one of inside of a shuffled 40 card deck. And so
there's a bunch of things at play here, but I do think that the consensus here is it's too early, right? We haven't seen how this is going to work. And to Sorcery's credit, they're not doing the whole, oh, you don't want to buy a Philosopher's Stone? Guess what? We have the super cheap format that everyone can play, because they've got to be at this point well aware indie TCG communities are not big enough to support a parade of formats. They're not big enough to, at the local game store, have a pocket of people playing whatever your Pauper variant is, and whatever your Commander variant is, and whatever your competitive variant is. There's not enough people. There's not enough people. They
did share my video that went out last week. That's like, hey, here's the common only deck. They're not doing it as a format. They're saying this is a way that you can grow your community, which is a win.
And it works there because it's not backed by a crazy competitive OP system and OP program. And so that works. You're not pushing people. You don't have this, your shining star that you want everyone to engage in, and then you're saying, hey, because you can't afford that, here's this. They're saying, however you want to play, we don't necessarily reward this, and this is a way you can have a cheap entry point.
Yeah, the article also goes on, the blog also goes on to complain about them talking about Unlimited and Revised, and how they said beta was supposed to be for the players, but now they're like, oh, what are you going to do? Do an Unlimited that's supposed to be for the players, or Revised? And like, frankly, I don't see anything from the sorcery community other than very, very, very early on. We're talking to a year and a half ago that they mentioned maybe doing a Revised or an Unlimited, but that could change in the future. And like, I still hold true. If I were in charge of sorcery, I would
thank God you're not.
I would just make more beta boxes rather than do an Unlimited or Revised. Huh. Like, you haven't come out and said that this is a limited one print run item. You haven't come out and said that this is the print run. I would say if the beta boxes go to $320 a box, which frankly, like, I don't personally see that happening. Like,
I don't either, but who knows?
I don't know. Like, maybe in a couple years that could happen, certainly. But like, the initial wave of this product, in my opinion, like, singles for sorcery, other than a couple cards, are not outrageously priced right now. Like, frankly, the market is down pretty great. I have a lot of people who reach out to me like, hey, I still love buying sorcery, but like, can you work with me on the prices a little bit on the cards, because I haven't updated my prices in a while. And like, the answer is yeah. Like, the prices have come down a bit. Like,
you're getting haggled, dude. You're getting swindled.
It's fine. And TCG Player is only going to make that, in my opinion, like, prices are going to drop more when TCG Player comes out, because everybody can get on and sell cards. So like,
listen, that's not a bad, like, this is
right. My point
has to be both. It has to be both.
Right. And this is my point, is that it's too early for anybody to say that prices of the game are too expensive, because beta is not even out yet.
The game is not out.
And it's too early for sorcery to know if they printed enough beta boxes or not. And so I actually kind of like what they're doing, which is like, we can at any point, if we want, release more beta to, like, I don't know that that's what they're going to do. In my opinion, that's what they are. In my opinion, from what I see, that is what they are doing and what they are going to do, which is like, if you have a reserve of 10 to 15,000 beta boxes, which you can trickle into the market over the next 6 months to get you to the next set or whatever, I could see that being a thing that happens if the demand gets wild. So
listen,
I think
we've talked about it. That's the way I do it. Right.
Yeah.
And that's not the best business model, because you're, in all likelihood, you're then left with boxes. Yeah. You have boxes that you just can't move on from, and that might just be the reality. And you always, the idea of the most profitable model is print one less box than you need, right? It's been said ad nauseum at this point. But it being too early, criticizing a game being for the players or not for the players before the game is released. And I've shared my opinion on this. Like, the game is not released until beta. Until I can walk into a game store and buy a pack of sorcery on the shelf, there's no official release. It's not out. So I am not down for that criticism yet. And if sorcery, now this looks a lot more fair. If sorcery comes out, we have this year of runway, which is, again, as someone who's pushing back against criticism, I still don't like the year between sets or whatever, or the giant set. I'm not a fan of that. I'm hesitant to believe that will work.
Yeah.
But if it does, you've got a plenty of runway. But if they decide, hey, over that year, we're also not printing more beta boxes, screw you. That, to me, now a lot of this becomes a lot more fair.
Right.
The company's so far been run pretty well. It's answered every question that I've had, and far be it for me.
Delays.
Sure, but I also listen, let's talk about the delay. My position on the delay is it was needed, because if you're going to be a traditional trading card game with one major release a year, that release night better be special.
Right.
And for them pushing that back shows you clearly must be about the players. If it was all about collectability in the secondary market, you could have just let that thing trickle out. You could have MetaZoo natived the F out of that thing, and it just came out as it came out, and nobody knew. And hey, you had tournaments for the set before the set even hit. You could have done that, and they didn't. They bit the bullet, and that says, hey, we want a good experience for everybody coming out to play sorcery.
Yeah, and that's also
got a little ranty there.
Jordan's not the only person complaining about stuff for beta, so I'm not like calling.
Do we have to say this in 2023? We can still Jordan and disagree with his takes. Yeah. We can. Jordan's you like me, and you disagree with everything I say. You disagree with, and we're still friends.
Jordan he's a good dude. I just disagree with his takes on sorcery. So
I have started watching the Bone Zone because I like the conversation. I do. Something I like to have on.
I try to listen to as little of George as I can. So,
well, I go between mute and unmute.
Yeah,
there's a lot. Knowing George, there's a lot of mute.
Yeah, just listening to Jordan's takes and then mute.
That's exactly.
We should do that as a secondary episode when George is back. It's like the podcast releases at the same time. One has all of George's takes clipped out. The other one is, and then be like, which one does better? Which one gets
what do you mean? The one that's only 20 minutes long.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm stoked about beta. It seems like PhD is finishing out their allocations finally. So I think by Friday we might know more information about that.
Yeah. Lots of unanswered questions. I'm excited to be here for the ride. Listen, and this is the first time I'm doing it. I've committed this to you. I told you, I'm not going to play a game of sorcery, but I'm going to collect. So I'm going to continue collecting. I've never done this.
A beta?
I've never done this. Every game that I've ever been involved with, I've played in some facet. I've never just been a collector. I'm going to try it.
You going to collect beta? You going to go for
I'm going to collect sorcery. I don't know what the collection target's going to be yet, but I've already started. The Shark Tank is
you should do a beta binder.
First of all, don't tell me how to collect.
I'm going to tell you whatever I want.
That ruins collecting.
All right. Speaking of ruining collecting, Lorcana. I have this one labeled as Lorcana delay, but I don't know if that's really fair. And George isn't here to defend it. So,
well, no, that's just a bad take.
Why? They said early October. What does early October mean to you?
Before the 15th.
Okay. Well, they're going to be slightly late then. Distro was basically like, we still have this scheduled out for 2 to 3 weeks from now. So
maybe that's what they told you. Maybe your spend isn't where you nearly thought it was.
I feel like it's getting awfully close to the set 2 release, though.
It is, and this is the problem.
What's
this?
The problem?
This is the problem. When you commit to the multiple sets a year, this is why indie TCGs struggle. It's because if you have a hiccup, it's hard to correct when you have filled out your roadmap. This is why we see Wizards, and this is not a direct, Lorcana is not Wizards of the Coast, Ravensburger is not, they're not Pokemon. George's take on that was one of the most wild things I've ever seen said into a microphone. I can't believe I was here for it. I'm really happy that I was.
He hasn't been back since.
You can't pivot. You can't, and they're finding that out. Like, hey, this is why companies overprint, because it's really hard to go the other way. Yeah. Sorcery, again, gets to play outside those rules because of their model. They get to circumvent that a bit. It's not a stress they have to have. Lorcana does, and it is proving itself. However, still doesn't freaking matter.
So I had like I had the best email in the world the other day. This is Donald. You can't have the boxes. Donald listens to the podcast and he's trying to get more boxes. I had the best email in the world the other day. Somebody who pre-ordered Wave 2 canceled their pre-order to me and was like, hey, the delay is getting to me. I don't think I'm gonna be able to play Lorcana because I'm frustrated with the delay. Please cancel my Wave 2. And I was like, certainly, because there's a lot of people who want boxes and I've been saying no to them.
And guess what? One more to take its place. One more person to step in and take their place. It will. Now, there will come a time where it will matter. If it continues down this path, it 100% will matter.
Yeah, set 3 or 4. Once they get the print run, once they commit to a higher print run based on their sales of this stuff, and you don't have this like constant urging of speculators and flippers and that kind of ecosystem. Once those people leave, like, it can get ugly for TCGs, man. It can get ugly. So like, I don't know. It's gonna be rough at that point. I don't see that happening with this set or the next set.
It just doesn't make a difference. Yeah. It's so wild. It's so unfair. Like, it's unfair. Sorcery's got to get it right. We wait on every breath from that Discord server, every announcement, because it all matters, and it's so much harder. They work so much harder. Ravensburger's like, put Mickey on a card, dude.
Yeah, I think they're playing 2 different games, in my opinion.
Do it.
Like I don't know. They're playing 2 different games.
You know what? Oh, is it going rough? Poo on a playmat.
Yeah, but they don't. They're not gonna make any money on the poo on the playmat though, because they print like 4 of them. Like the number.
Fine, dude. Collector boxes. You know what? CEO of the year.
Do you remember George's take that there was different cards in the packs? What does he owe me on that? Doesn't he owe me a collector box because of that?
I stay out of it. I don't know, man. You know what Magic's doing? We're gonna have Mickey sign a card. It's gonna say Mickey on it in Sharpie.
Not even a real person.
I don't understand that craze. That's something I don't get. I don't want someone wrote Chandra on my card.
Yeah, it's just ink now. It's just damaged.
Yeah, it's just a damaged card.
You can't even get it graded with PSA as like a authentic because they don't have the DNA for somebody who doesn't exist. It's like, it's literally pointless. I don't know. I think Lorcana, like, I think the hype.
Simon, can you write shark on a foil shark for me? Can you just write rawr shark?
I think the Lorcana hype has to die down after Christmas, but before Christmas, I think it's just gonna go crazy. That to me is like the pinnacle of Lorcana hype. Will be
what does die down mean to you?
So like, again, I get back to this like spendy habits. Maybe it's just me, but like in the holiday season, I just like, oh yeah, I'll buy that. Oh yeah, like I just spend money because like you're just in this world where it's constantly thrown at you. So I think Lorcana almost gets a free pass as a card game as long as that exists. But come January, February, like I think it's gonna be a lot harder to keep the hype up, in my opinion.
Yes, Every single game will trend up and down. Lorcana has been trending so high up, sooner or later it has to trend down, and then probably will trend back up like every single thing in the entire universe. I don't know if it happens.
That don't trend back up. You want me to start naming off the TCGs that are down and will never trend back up?
It's not cool, man. Listen, selling 200 boxes on TCG Player is a win, okay?
For full release.
200. Hey, listen, that's more boxes than I've ever sold.
My magic orders are the amount. All right, continue.
Magic sold 100 times the product in back-to-back sets. Anyway, I don't see it coming down in any meaningful way. I think it'll ebb and flow, and that's fine, and that's completely healthy, just like everything else. I don't see it coming down in a meaningful way.
We'll see. That'll be interesting. Like, I think so. It's hard because you're going to have two things happen. These are the two things that are going to happen. Eventually, the print run will catch up with the demand. Like, eventually they will print enough boxes that the print run will catch up with the demand. And at that point, you lose what is a large portion of the Lorcana community right now. A large portion of the Lorcana community is...
That is such a disingenuous statement.
Why?
Based on what? Why is a large portion of the Lorcana community speculators and flippers?
Based on every TCG ever. Every single TCG since 2019.
How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man?
You're reading the same book that we have read 100 million times on this channel.
I know you're not. I know that's not your take. I know Mr. Indie TCG is not saying this is the same book.
Content creator. I am a magic. That is what I am. It says it in my bio of my life.
It breaks the rules of the regular TCG.
It does not.
Then what? Name another TCG that would be 2x the box price with non-sealed boxes. Boxes that are just not sealed.
Like, I get that they get a free pass on a lot of stuff, but what they don't get a free pass on is that once they print enough boxes, once they print that one more box, and now they have one more box on the demand, and people can't make free tendies off of it, it will stop the ecosystem. Like, this is what happens. People will move on to the next topic.
Week out, 6 figures of players, on an unsupported class, hasn't wavered. Week in, week out, oscillates above 6 figures.
Right.
When does the interest wane?
The interest won't wane. The demand, they will print to the demand. They will print to like the high. And then, like, at that point, you'll see a disinterest in the volume. You'll still have an interesting number of players, but you won't see this kind of like attitude that you see in the community of let's buy everything, let's buy it up, let's buy it up.
You're right. You'll see a change in volume. That's a technically correct statement, but it's not most. You won't see most of the volume fall off because most of the community is flippers. That's the disingenuous part.
So here's my part. I guess let's put a let's quantify it. Okay.
Sure.
Right now, you would say to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that a Lorcana product would come out and it will automatically sell above MSRP.
Yeah.
There's not anything that you could do right now to make a Lorcana product pre-order for less than MSRP.
On the secondary market?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing is game stores that want to support their community or sell to their loyal customers.
I'm saying on TCG Player.
Yeah. 100%.
Whatever.
Totally fair.
My point is there will be a time in Lorcana, there will be a time where everybody gets burned. Let's call it set 5. I don't know what set it is. My guess, set 3, where they print so much that stores get allocated or don't get allocated, and whatever I ordered, they're going to be like, are you sure you want to order that? And I'll be like, yeah, I want 7,000 boxes. And then I will get the call that's like, hey man, here's your bill.
You owe me for 7,000 boxes.
Here's your bill. It's $700,000.
Yep.
I won't do that because I am smart, but somebody will get a call and their bill will be $700,000, and they will say, sorry, I'm not going to answer the next 50 phone calls from my rep, right? That rep's going to keep calling and calling and calling, and that rep's going to have to dump product to that store and that store and that store and that store, and And then stores like me are going to be like, well, I'll buy more, but I'm just going to put it on TCG Player and break even to get my spend up. And you're going to see the secondary market go below MSRP. Now, that doesn't change the demand. The demand is the same. The demand is still high. There's still a bunch of people playing. Sorry, the playing demand. But once that happens, they will lose the speculative, investive, flipper demand, and you will not see from that point on, in my opinion, you will not see boxes selling for what they are going for now or pre-ordering for obscenely high prices and the market increasing that way.
You can tell everything you just told me. You could tell me that story. I don't know if it's set 3. I don't know if it crashes hard where you'll never see that again. Like, I don't know about all that. I don't necessarily agree with all that, but let's just play in that sandbox for a second, and I'll agree with all of that.
Okay.
A, won't matter. B, you made it sound, the way you presented that was you lose the majority of your community. You presented that as when you lose this is exactly what you did. And that is disingenuous. That's the problem I have. And this is why I let you have your whole little moment there. Because I didn't disagree with any of that. The only point I disagreed with was you presenting the people that will fall off because that moment will happen as being the majority of the community. That is not. Every indicator says it is not the majority of the community. And listen, you know who will buy those boxes? All the people saying, I can't get my hands on this. I'm done with it. Guess what? Now they can. So,
yes. My point, and I did a bad job of saying this, is the 80-20 rule. I believe that 20% of the people spend 80% of the money, and that 80% of the people spend 20% of the money. So your 80% that are your players, and that's the actual demand, they are only buying 20% of the boxes. They are only spending the money.
So how does that work with Pokemon? Because you have no players. And don't tell me about the one Pokemon tournament that you tweeted about, because overwhelmingly you have no players.
Because the demand for Pokemon is not playing. The demand is opening packs. It's an experience.
You just did it, dude. Right, you got there.
But hold on, dude. Look at Pokemon. What do you have going on in the market? It's exactly what I just spelled out for you. Boxes are selling for $85 on TCG Player, and
you just said it's never coming back. Is it never coming back? Because, like I said, it's going to ebb.
It comes back.
It's going to ebb and flow. This is yes, I agree with this world that we're saying.
Pokemon's not a new TCG. That's the problem.
You're right. It doesn't have near the excitement of a new TCG. Like, we can frame these arguments however you want. And I'm not telling you Lorcana's going to be Pokemon. I'm telling you that it's likely, because it gets to break all the other rules, it's likely that it will have a period of ebb and flow. Like listen, you called it not an indie TCG.
But But you're saying two things. You're saying that the demand is from people who want to play, the 6,000 people that are on all the time.
It's not necessarily. It's not only want to play.
But now you're saying the demand is going to be from people opening packs. I don't think the demand there is. I don't think the demand exists for people who are opening packs for Lorcana in the same way that Pokemon does.
You're right, because they can't right now. They don't have the opportunity. The opportunity doesn't exist.
And people who are excited to open packs for Lorcana right now are excited because the packs are either they're getting cheap packs from an LGS and they're making lots of money.
A small portion of the community.
When they open the product, they are opening expensive cards. What happens?
We're back here.
What happens when you open up a pack and the highest value card you can get is $28?
I don't know. You tell me with the most recent Pokemon set. What happens when you open a pack and the highest...
You have to bundle every freaking thing. I'm doing bundles with Scarlet and Violet. If you buy Scarlet and Violet, I'll give you anything you want in the store. That's it. You pick
that company is still making
Pokemon card if you buy one box of Scarlet and Violet from me, and still nobody wants it.
And that product overwhelmingly, as on a large scale, is selling in massive numbers. And if it's not, then the conversation about does it compete with Magic the Gathering is over. Because we know Magic the Gathering is selling in massive numbers. Okay, so Lorcana will continue to sell in massive numbers. And it has an additional aspect. People are playing the game right now. Now, that may go away. This thing might get full Pokemonified. And people just stop playing, and you can tweet about the one tournament that happens a year. That might be a fair position to have. But right now, that's not the case. It's just not.
I hope you're right. I have been burned too much by new card games.
Like, if your plan is to continue hoping this thing 10x is on every release until the end of time, guess what? Bad plan.
I sell at MSRP in my store, so it doesn't matter to me how much the boxes are in the secondary market.
And guess what? You'll continue to sell. You'll continue to sell.
Some of the other stores selling boxes for ridiculous prices to their communities. Like,
I bet you make money on the third set. This third set that you're saying this is going to happen, I bet you make money. You know what? On the fourth set, after the third set, where you think
I did not say it was the third set. Do not put words into my mouth.
And after the fourth set, you know what? I bet you make money. Hey, and on that fifth set, I bet you make money.
Yeah.
Like, listen. It's going well. I'm not doing it.
I hope that's the case. I also hope they put shrink wrap on their boxes.
Hey, listen, it clearly doesn't matter. You know what? I wish some games that I bought a bunch of boxes of wouldn't have put shrink wrap on their boxes. And apparently that's the secret. Apparently that's the move.
No. Oh, man. All right. That was heated. It
was fun. What do you mean? I'm not. It's not heated. Are you mad at me? Can we not eat pizza together now?
I feel offended.
Good. I'm glad. I did my job on this podcast. I'm out.
Speaking of offensive things, I don't know. That's just my segue into the MetaZoo content. I don't know how much there is to talk about with this, but MetaZoo said that they're going to have.
You shoehorned this into the segment, into the podcast.
Said you wanted this. You started off the podcast saying you wanted this.
Yeah, I lied. I'm on Kitchen Table TCG. I speculate and I lie.
MetaZoo is going to have their online gameplay, their like digital client at New York City Comic Con. I think that's pretty cool. I hope that it works really well. Can you imagine this comes out and like the software doesn't work?
Okay, technical issues aside, let's assume a release where things function. Let's assume it's not an arena release and things will function. Like, let's assume it's not Magic Online and it's not riddled with bugs for the first 2 weeks, right? That aside, I don't know if you can convince me that it's a big deal that the game that, again, notoriously people don't play in large numbers has a digital play client coming out. I don't know if you can get me on that train. You might have to fight and push and kick to get me on that train.
It's called Cryptid Clash. That's kind of a cool name for it.
That's a pretty cool name.
Yeah. I think as much as the MetaZoo gameplay gets misunderstood or negativitied, a negative rep.
You said alphabological, by the way, like twice in a video this week.
Yeah.
It's rough.
It gets comments, man.
That's why you do it.
I think a digital client is a really big win for them because the gameplay in physical cards is so much. There are so many different mechanics and everything has a stupid symbol. So not only do you need to know what the mechanic does, like death touch, right? But now you need to know what the symbol means. And so on a digital client, I think that this has potential to actually really help them grow because you can hover your little, I hope you can hover your mouse over the little icon.
Tool tipping and
And I think that that's going to go a long way for helping them get whatever player base may come to MetaZoo. I wish that this was 2 years ago. Like, I just feel like
I think that's when we got the announcement.
Yeah, you have, like, I have a hard time believing that this grows the MetaZoo community in the way that a lot of other people believe it will, because I think like you have to strike when the iron's hot. And I know this stuff takes a long time, but like there's no hotter iron than 2020. You know what I mean? Like
that's true.
Can you imagine if this thing came out in the pandemic when everyone's sitting at home playing video games and playing and buying TCGs? Like it would have been, but like at the end of the day, like I'm glad that it's coming out. I think the Comic-Con is a great opportunity to have this. It's probably pretty difficult to have like actual play space at something like New York City Comic-Con. It's probably stupid expensive, and like having, I hope it's 50, 100 tablets where people can sit down and actually play this could go a long way. I think it's cool. I'm actually excited to take a look at it whenever I can and
Listen,
test it out and play it. We've had this is wild. It's been a long time since someone's come into my store wanting to buy MetaZoo. Like, I'm talking, not sure that this has happened since the store moved. At the old location, we were still in the middle of like pandemic excitement, so a lot of people would come in and buy, ask if we had MetaZoo or see MetaZoo on the shelf. I'm like, oh, I saw that on YouTube and I want to pick that up. It's been a long time. We had the Mothman Festival was like 30 minutes away from us. I bet you every week we had like 3 people come in want to buy MetaZoo. It's insane.
That's cool. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So a lot of potential for something like this. I hope it's on Steam. Like, I hope they like pay whoever you need to pay on Steam to like put your game on the front page of Steam, like that kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot of potential for, if it's good, if it's done good, and if it's right, and if it's fun.
Sure.
There's a lot of potential. So
yeah, that's always fair. Like, these things have to be. I mean, look at. I still attest that Magic Online only succeeds because it's a pretty close to real representation of Magic the Gathering, and it's been around for however long. Like, it was grandfathered in. If that came out today, and you were like, "Hey, you could play Magic Online," it's the closest representation to Magic. Everyone who plays Arena would look and be like, "There is no chance. Like, I touched this product at all." I don't know, man. I hope that this thing goes well. In the interest of my credibility, will not falter. It's hard to hear about how we don't lean into gameplay. Gameplay's okay. You could play the game. I'm not criticizing the gameplay itself, but it's not been a focal point of the company. It just has not been to this point.
I'm not sure the company has said anything about it. The community, it certainly hasn't been a focal point. They put up millions of dollars in prize support. Recently,
game's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
like we finally got there, right? And if we wanted it to be gameplay, the focus could have been there for a long time. It's hard to shift that foundation that was already created, but that's fine. They printed CN2, so they basically made the game free to play. That's fine. My position has always been with MetaZoo since I have been on this darn podcast with you two bozos. I need it to not be this and this and that. You need to get a release correct.
Yeah.
You need to get a release correct. That has been my barrier for success. So until then, this is another thing where we're getting an announcement about the shorts and the movie and the Arby's partnership and the game. Get a release correct. Have the community take to that release and then do it over and over again. And then let's talk about the next thing. So I just maintain that. I don't think this makes a big splash regardless of how well done it is, because I think you talked about Lorcana and the people that are like, well, I'm sour now. It went down. I lost. I'm poo-pooey about it. And this isn't Disney.
Right, and that's what happens. This is what I was saying with new TCGs, and I did call Lorcana an indie TCG, which was a terrible mistake. And
it's still called in your Discord an indie TCG.
I know. Well,
I screenshotted that the night of that podcast. Night.
I am a firm believer in this. If you came into MetaZoo, if you got into the community, and if you got burned, and if you left MetaZoo, you are not coming back. Once you this is not Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering, when you sell your collection, you don't fully believe that you're gone forever. You will have a heart for Magic. You'll constantly be like, oh yeah, I used to play Magic the Gathering. I remember, because it will be in front of you all the time. You'll see Magic pop up in movies. You'll see Magic pop up in your friends' lives. You'll see this on your Facebook feed. It'll just be there in front of you for the rest of your life. For MetaZoo, for really any other TCG that's not Pokemon, for literally maybe Lorcana, for anything else, you will get burned. You'll have a terrible release. You'll get pissed. This is the same thing for, frankly, like my cryptic community. This is what happened. Like in my community, we had 20-25 people who got burned by an indie TCG. They're not coming back. They're done. They're gone. They're frustrated. They're angry. They're mad. They're going to buy Pokemon the rest of their life. Like, that's what they're going to do.
Yep.
And I think this is cool, and I hope it creates a whole new segment of MetaZoo fans if it's done right and if it's done good. I don't have any understanding of either the developers breadth or ability to create a video game that's going to be an interesting thing. Like, this has to be good, otherwise it's the worst thing in the world is when you see a video game that you're like, oh, that looks cool, or I'm gonna pick it up, and you play it and you're like, oh, this is horrible. Like the quickness that you can delete an app off of your phone or computer, it's like that, and it's gone, and I'm never thinking about it again, right? Like, I have zero investment in this, and so it's got to be good. And if it's not, there's no coming back. I mean, this is something we've been waiting for MetaZoo. It's got to be good. We'll see if it is or not. But I think it's cool
talking about the
premiering at NYCC.
You want to talk about the technology problems that you say? I mean, this is kind of what we do. You need to engage your users. You need to keep them coming back. You need to make sure there's an ease of use, right? Because if things are a pain in the butt to get into, I'm just not going to fight to get into it. In 2023, when my attention is pulled in 40 different directions, and I have nothing on the line, right? Before, like, having these on the line and owning these gives me incentive. It's like when you pay for a workout program, when you pay for a gym membership, you go. Why? Because you see that balance come out of your checking account, and you're like, I better use that darn thing.
Right.
If people are on this thing and you are not engaging with your users, you're not giving them a reason to come back, and it doesn't follow your time constraints for user attention, right? Where you're not snapping new things according to whatever a user's attention span is, you're going to see user fall off. And that's just the application world. That has nothing to do with MetaZoo. That's just how apps work, right? So you have a whole new breadth of challenges that you have to overcome. And can they do it? Yeah. Trading card games exist all the time on digital platforms. It can work. I feel like the second half of this podcast, it just doesn't matter. Like, get the set release locked down, get it right, get it good, and then move forward.
This is a big task.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I can put my belief in any indie TCG pulling this off. Like,
I think it can be pulled off. I believe in
we'll
that.
see. We'll see.
Its impact is the part that I question.
Yeah. All right, everyone. It's been an hour and 52 minutes. So if you're still here, thank you. You mean a lot to us. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the comment section. Tell Josh all of his good takes and tell me all my bad takes. And
this is the hard part, man, because I'm training my brain to think differently about Lorcana, and everyone who watches us is a TCG enthusiast like us. And Lorcana breaks all of our expectations. So everyone's just going to hate on me week after week in the comment section until you figure it out. I'm training my brain. You should too.
Lorcana is no different than... It's the same story, dude. I'm telling you right now, it is the same story we read 100 times.
So happy that you said that on this podcast, by the way.
Goodbye, everyone. Be kind to the people around you. I was going to say go subscribe to Josh's channel, but don't unsubscribe from his channel.
Wait, hold on. I'm already a massive failure as a content creator. Don't do this to me.
We appreciate you guys. Josh, it was fun. You're not welcome back next week. But
just you and George? All right, have fun.
God, no. Please, no. Please.
May the zoo be with you.
Have a great day, everyone. Be kind to the people around you, and may the zoo be with you.
I already said it.
This is an original Empire Strikes Back poster.
I've never been more proud of you. I found something that matters less. Look at that.
Goodbye, everyone.